Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 340. This is your guide to the geek side, and I'm your host, Todd Oxter, joined by my constant companion, Charlie Carden.
Wacky, waving arm, inflatable man. I don't know why that just came to me. Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. I'm very excited to currently not be located in the state of Wisconsin.
Wisconsin has its fans, if you like cheese, beer, and the Packers.
Yes, yeah, I actually was in Green Bay last week, and so I was in Green Bay last week.
And that's all you need to say. Green Bay is Green Bay, famous for its football team, and not a lot less than that. So, but we'll move on from talking about the hows and the wheres. It's been a very interesting week. Charlie, you saw a concert. I saw a concert. I had a fantasy football draft. Life is coming back to normal. We actually saw movies this weekend. Holy cow! It's almost like COVID doesn't exist, except it does. And I still wear a mask in the theater.
Oh, wow, good for you. See, we have not. We've been going for a while, and generally the theaters are empty, and we just don't feel the need.
I just even if I'm vaccinated, but I still don't want to get sick because of it.
It's all about your level of comfort, but it is also about getting vaccinated. I'm certainly not going to
absolutely.
I'm not going to say that I respect someone's choice not to get vaccinated because I don't. I'm sorry.
I don't either, because they're putting other people at risk, and they're putting healthcare workers and people that could be sick, and they are taking up beds. So you know what? If you're selfish and you choose not to take a vaccine, then choose not to take medical assistance.
And stay in your flipping house, because that's the safest way.
Yeah. You know what? Because you've been inconvenienced us for all these months. You know what? Right. You're inconvenienced now. But that's it. Secret Friend says get vaccinated or just stay away from others. There you go.
We're going with that. But anyway, one thing we can never stay away from is some vintage, sweet-ass comic book covers, which, I've got to speak to this one that we've got right here. This is the Amazing Spider-Man, issue number 340 from, I can't squint that small, but I really don't need to because I was heavy into reading this run at this time. This is, I believe, 91 or 92. And it's got very bombastic artwork by Eric Larson, who was the regular penciler on that comic for 2 or 3 years. He was what some might describe as your poor man's Todd McFarlane, because he did really just follow up that iconic run that there are other people out there who love Todd McFarlane's art more than me, because I'm not a huge fan. But regardless, Larson kind of dumbed it down a little bit. I mean, it got a little bit more. The things I didn't like, I liked even less. But he was billed at the top as New York's neurotic superhero. But in this issue, he is fighting 4 female villains. That we got one with the dome that you can see the brain. We got one with like big long claws. We got one that is wearing some kind of metal suit, Wakandan like crunchy thing that she has cleavage, and then there's another one. It's just, I can tell you as a Spider-Man reader, I don't know what happened, and I don't think
they're the femme fatales, Charlie.
I don't think
the femme fatales.
Well, and then they say, on the left-hand side, lower right below the corner box, introducing the femme fatales as if it was something that, oh my God, I've got a graded copy of this that's a 9.3 and it's worth millions. No, it's not.
Oh, Charlie, if you don't, you're a fool.
I've read every single issue of Amazing Spider-Man with the exception of most recently, and at some point I'll fall back into a Spider-Man jam. I figured it'll probably be around the time that this movie comes out that we're going to be talking about the trailer for. But I've read every single issue, and so much of it is forgettable that I couldn't tell you about it. You know what I mean?
It's like a soap opera, right? It's a soap opera. Comics are a soap opera. An issue every month. Very few really make the mark or like memorable, right. But every issue that is someone's first or something is memorable to them. So this might be someone's most excited issue because this is where they became a Spidey fan. So you know what?
I respect that. I do. Very good. That's very good perspective. I like that.
I'm sure my first comic that I read of X-Men is probably less notable than something else. It's not, the Dark Phoenix saga, but it is Wolverine. It's that iconic cover of the X-Men taking on was actually, they called themselves the Freedom Force at the time, which was when the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants basically worked for the government, which was so weird at the time. Made no sense.
They worked that into the Mark Gruenwald, the Captain arc. No, I'm familiar with Freedom Force. Yeah, and it had a bunch of characters that you wouldn't even recognize, like Mystique, not all naked in blue.
Avalanche, everyone's favorite mutant.
You had not Pyro or the guy who
Pyro.
Blob. You had
maybe Toad might have been in there.
Spiral wasn't Spiral.
Spiral was in there, which is such a weird choice too. Yeah. So you know what I love about Marvel is, just like I was saying, Defenders. They always had wacky villains, and they always brought them in. I don't know if we get as many like just wacky new villains in comics these days, but I think it should come back because I loved it.
I agree. But at any rate, moving on, as fascinating as this is, we got to keep this show trucking. And in trucking, we need to go down to the corner where news is shouted by our senior news correspondent, the one and only Madam Webb. So without further delay, Madam Webb, please take it away.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's rumors and news. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. Oh my goodness, Madam Webb. Thank you for bringing in the news this week. School is coming back next week. Essentially, when you've listened to this, my son will be going back into his sophomore year. And essentially, I believe you're going back into your fifth grade year as you go and accomplish to better your education, considering back in the day, if you got a fourth grade education, you were considered Einstein for your time. So you know what? Keep going on, Madam Webb. Learn about the history you never did, and learn how to read about Don Quixote.
And as I was having a conversation with a buddy of mine who I had drinks with this week in Wisconsin, did you know they teach us as kind of cub journalists that all newspaper articles, which were a thing back when Todd and I were young men, are written for someone to read at a fourth grade level?
Ooh, yeah. So she qualifies, Charlie.
She did. She can sit down. She can sit down.
Just made the mark.
She can. Yeah. Exactly. Oh, just under the wire. Good stuff.
Yeah. Don't introduce any like double entendres or snarky social commentary. Right. It just doesn't.
It's going to go
matter with Madam Webb.
Right over her head. Well, what do we got up first here?
Oh, Charlie, this is your story, really. Because quite honestly, we've been waiting for this one. We had leaks potentially and all this stuff, but now we got the real trailer.
The Voyagers of Leo Spiderman, my dentist. No, I'm just kidding. It's Spider-Man. So yeah, we've been waiting on this one. I don't have the date in front of me. It did say Christmas, but we came across, we got this trailer earlier this week, and we got, of course, a laundry list of Easter eggs. My favorite was right at the beginning. You got Peter and Mary Jane laying on the roof of what is potentially their high school or just a building somewhere. In the far distance behind them, graffito tagged on the wall, DITKO. That is right, Steve Ditko.
The East Side Disco's gang members. Yes.
He created the character. What we get? Some other Easter eggs. I'll just run through these right quick. Department of Damage Control from the first film in this series comes up. They're trying to convince us that the white shirted tie individual that is in the police station with Peter could be Matt Murdock. I don't know. The guy kind of looks like he's got a gut, so I don't think that'd be Matt.
That's what I thought too. Maybe he's had a hard time. Maybe he's ate too well, or maybe he's had a good time and he's got fat off the cash of defendants.
Right. You know, you've got some weird stuff with Stephen Strange wearing a big old hoodie sweatshirt, and there's snow in his place. So a lot of people are saying he's a little off. Could he be Mephisto? Could he be some other kind of character? Because Wong says, "Don't cast that spell," and he's like, "I won't." Wink. But no, you see in the trailer, Peter is talking while Strange is casting the spell, and it throws everything into the mix. And then all of a sudden, we've got a Spider-Man based Nexus event where you're seeing, reality collapse. You got the city is flipping, and you got trains flipping around in a circle. And you're seeing new suits. So we got Spider-Man, and again, even for me, I'm kind of getting to the point where I think all my Spider-Verse figures, I think I'm just going to have to slow that down because we're getting new suits that are just boring. I mean, the one that we saw that was new is he has a black suit with gold trim, but it's the same pattern. So it's
I was going to say, they start looking very similar. It's not like we're getting a black suit, a different pattern, like an all black with maybe a little red, which would be Miles Morales.
Right, exactly.
Or all red with white, maybe, like So I think they just don't stand out enough from each other because there's some accents. So
I mean,
I would like to see something going completely crazy.
And
we're supposed to.
In the comics, they never stick around. When I disengaged from
No.
the comics the last time, his new outfit was a different shade of blue, but still with some webbing. But it was a little more. His suit was a little more. It looked a little more rubber. There was something different with the feet, and it's just weird stuff. But anyway, back on this, we get a potential tease of the lizard showing up. Okay, just very Electro and the Sandman is another one because you see some electricity hitting a big old giant pile of sand. And the two most obvious ones is a rolling electronic pumpkin bob that drops on a bridge between some cars, and you hear a very William Dafoe-ish cackle, and then of course a big old metal tentacle slamming down in the middle of the road with Alfred Molina pulling into view as Otto Octavius saying, "Hello, Peter." That was the moment that made me clap. And again, I watched this on my phone, like first thing in the morning in bed from my hotel room. So I had to watch it a couple more times on the big TV when I got home. But I'm fired up. But it was funny. I think David Bird, who is one of our regular commentators over on the group, says, I feel like everybody's put their eggs in this basket, but ultimately we're going to be let down. Which, quite frankly, I have very little doubt. Because aren't we always a little bit? Aren't our hopes catastrophically high and they just tend to get dropped? I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, it's funny because Mark and I on Co-op Mode, your only video game news podcast you ever need, talked about that. And our topic this week talked about the hype machine,
right,
and anticipation, right,
okay,
and what it leads to, and ultimately does it disappoint. But ultimately, we've put a lot out there on our own about what this would be, and they didn't help us by being very vague and saying lots of little things. But ultimately, this is delivering where we've said it would, which would be the multiverse. A wish gone bad, as we would say. This is what it is. It's almost like the monkey's paw, or something like this.
Very much like the monkey's paw, yes.
And it's funny, someone even said, because he says he wants everyone to forget who he is because it's causing his life drama. That's the whole thing. He basically is accused of murdering Mysterio, and none of the Avengers are there to help him and take his, word and say, no, he did not do that. He's a good boy. So now apparently he must get off on a technicality because he's not on parole, I assume, and can just do whatever he wants. So then he wants to have that erased. And there was this storyline was very similar in the comics with Mephisto. It was one new day, one brand new day. I can't remember what it was.
It was brand new day. And when what had happened, it was post Civil War, the comics version. And it was because Tony Stark had convinced Peter Parker, who was an adult and a contemporary, to reveal his identity. It simply meant that that people could go after his family. So the Kingpin was going to sniper him, but he moved at the last minute because of Spider Sense, and Aunt May was nearly fatally wounded. So he summoned Mephisto and said, "Well, I need her life restored." But the thing that he had to give, in repose was his true love with Mary Jane, which was apparently the most the truest love that it was very fairy tale like the truest love that had ever existed. And fans have and that was back in 2008. Fans have derided it ever since.
Was that Straczynski who wrote that?
It was right around that era, but I'd have to double check. But I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's just this is what it is, and so it is essentially he wants everyone to forget it so he can go back to being himself and having a simple life, because it obviously puts people he loves at risk. Makes a lot of sense. And it was funny because someone even made a joke. There's a meme, but everybody won't know who I am. Well, they just tell them again,
dumbass. Yeah, exactly.
It's like, but his telling Strange all these things essentially derails the spell, and then creates this different, essentially a new path in the multiverse, which just opens up the door for, is this the real path or is this different path? We don't know at this point. We're just along for the ride and going to have a good time. And yes, could this be Mephisto? Could it be something else? Is something off? It seemed weird that Strange is really open to helping him because he never seemed like the most selfless guy to begin with. So a lot could be with this, and we don't know where this is going to land. We're going to have a lot of cameos that surprise us. And this is just the original trailer. We're going to get a story trailer. We're going to get more of this. Yeah. And this is coming out in December. And quite honestly, I have loved the Spider-Man take. I've loved every movie. I can't wait to see what they do next. and it's going to be a lot of fun. That's all I care about.
I assume
Make it fun.
You're referring to this current iteration of Spider-Man, not Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, who you hated, or Toby.
No, and the fact that they're bringing out probably the best villain prior to these movies.
Right.
I'm so excited for that. And people got their hopes up that they were going to see Garfield and Maguire.
Yeah.
You're not going to see it.
I guarantee it. Don't buy the cow. Yeah. Don't buy the cow.
I hope they don't show those in a trailer.
Yeah, I agree. You're right. It would be great if it was a total strike. But anyway, let's move on. The next one, the Halloween stuff, is your jam, so why don't you take this?
Yeah, so, Disney once again continues to push the envelope of, especially with Disney Plus, filling content gaps and holes. Back in the day, Marvel used to do some, at least in the animated realm, they did some cartoony Halloween levels in the animated series. The thing was Ultimate Spider-Man. They had a really good crossover with kind of like the Midnight Suns, Dracula. Spider-Man was involved. I really enjoyed that. Well, it looks like they're now going to fully embrace this with a Halloween special on Disney Plus that is going to be Halloween special. And it apparently will be a 2022, and it will be based on the character Werewolf by Night, a character that nobody knows anything much about. If you do, you're a really geeky Marvel fan, which is awesome. But it's a werewolf, and this could also involve different variations of Dracula, maybe Frankenstein, the classic Marvel, the classic, Universal monsters, which anybody can use, because essentially they're just in the the tropes of what is it, public domain,
scary land of public domain.
Yeah. So you can use them, and I think this could be a lot of fun. And they can, bring in Brother Voodoo, bring in, I don't know, whoever else. All the people from like the Ghost Rider mythos that nobody really knows. Johnny Blaze, and what's his name, the other guy. He teams up with Johnny Blaze, and he was also
you're talking
Ghost
about
Rider.
Damian Hellstrom. Oh, it's the son of Satan. Oh yeah, who was the other one? It wasn't it Miguel something. What you saw in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well, we have the new Ghost Rider, but there was another guy that teamed up with Johnny Storm a lot in the Midnight Suns comic book.
Johnny Blaze.
Well, Johnny Blaze, but there was another guy who.
Yeah, the Sons of whatever, and it was Nighthawk. And I know, I got you. Yeah, the dark Marvel, darkish.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I'm Moon Knight is kind of loosely associated with that too. And if this is going to be animated, I assume this will be animated because they can do a lot more with it. And I don't think Marvel is at the point where they really will say if it appears in an animated series that it ruins the opportunity for another character to come out in a live action. I just don't think they're that picky, right? Are they?
I don't know. I mean, again,
should they be?
People will just kind of lap it up. So I'm not terribly flipping about it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
I hope not.
I hope not. No flipping.
But I hope this could be cool. This could be a lot of fun. I like, because we've got Star Wars doing the holiday things. Marvel can too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, good stuff. All right, so that's cool, but what's even cooler, and from the I'll believe it when I effing see it department, would be, and Todd, you dropped this on me, this came from a gaming convention in Germany, did you say?
Yep, Gamescom. It's the biggest gaming convention in the world, because they get like 1 million people. Of course, this is all online, but yeah, this is like a huge deal, and they dropped a trailer for it.
I have had a pre-order for, I'm going to tell you, somewhere between 2 and 3 years. It reminds me of a company called Anovos, which just changed its name and essentially went out of business. They made high-end costume replicas. I've had a pre-order with them for 1.5 years for a particular Star Trek uniform that I don't think I'm ever going to see. But I figured it was the same thing with TT Studios, because they've been promising us this game since I think 2018. But this is Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. Gets to a trailer, but it's still delayed. It's like, the trailer is magnificent. You've probably seen it online. If you don't see it, need to see it, let us know. We can help you find it. But gameplay on this looks fantastic. And again, I'm not a gamer. This is literally, Lego games are literally the only thing I enjoy, maybe because it's a lot of nostalgia, because I played these games with my son and he's grown up now and doesn't care for such things. But it really clicked with me. So we're seeing a lot of scenes from throughout the saga of the 9 films. I don't know that I saw much of any references to Solo or Rogue One, but it's like, who cares? Maybe there will be. Maybe those will be DLCs. I'll still pay for them. But anything from
Sure.
Anakin to Qui-Gon, older Luke, Ray, is just a lot of great stuff going on. The game mechanics largely look the same for things that they've changed. I'm sure it won't be too difficult to catch up, but the end of this trailer said spring 2022, and it's like, why? I mean, Todd, you and I both went and saw Free Guy over the weekend. Those guys didn't look like they were working too hard. I mean, even I think that they got the character of Dude out in a hurry.
Oh yeah, exactly. He was minus catchphrases and all those things. Yes.
TBD,
but
TBD, third thing.
That's right. But I will say, because I've been kind of fairly critical of the Lego franchise with games because I felt like they just kind of rinse and repeat. But I will say they did change a lot, Charlie, and that's why I think that's what's taking this longer. They changed their perspective. It's not from that longer view. This looked more from behind the shoulder. It looked like a more of an intimate view of the combat. And they looked like they did all the voice acting is new with potentially different voice actors. It's not the real talent, but and they have all new cutscenes and all these things that they're not just glomming from the past games thing. They're just completely redoing it. So I understand why that's a big deal. And obviously they have to get so much permission from Disney and the overlords at Star Wars. So in a way, I could understand why it takes some time, and especially doing a lot of voice recording. It's hard to do that from afar. So I give them a little bit leeway. Now, what they still haven't mentioned, and what I've been waiting for, is online co-op, so you and I can play together.
Yes.
If they drop that, I'll feel like, man, they've nailed it and deliver it. And if they do DLC with new stuff, and what they hope they don't do is it's a Mandalorian game. And then it does this. They basically said this will be the platform for Lego Star Wars, and anytime we have a new franchise, we get DLC for it. So you don't have to buy 85 new games. You just get content from that.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, they have a season pass, which I've done for most of it. So it's like a season pass for. I did and it was you who pointed out to me the deluxe version of the DC Lego DC Supervillains was the most recent one. Bought the season pass, boom, more characters, more levels, really kind of all one and done. So that's really the way it should be. So I totally dig that jam. That's cool. So obviously, like I said, I've had a pre-order for the physical copy of this. I would have to look at my Target account, but I got to scroll because again, they don't organize things by what you bought and versus what you pre-ordered. So I would just have to keep scrolling. But it's funny.
Yeah.
I think I'm actually going to do that while you start talking about this next story.
Yeah. One quick question though. I just looked and they said something about the Lego Incredibles game. I had no clue there was a Lego Incredibles game.
That's one.
Like,
that's one I have not played. And again, if that's one that goes up for deep sale on the PlayStation
I think
Store,
I saw it for $15. I think I saw it for $15, Charlie.
I mean, that'll be a couple months from now because I can't play it anyway. But I'm gonna go look through. I'm gonna look through my account history at Target while you start talking about this next story.
Oh, that's great for everybody involved, Charlie.
That's great.
Thank you
I'll keep my eye on the camera. Watch me. See, I got two eyes.
Yes. Absolutely. Well, next story is the fact that we are finally getting another CW crossover. It's been a while since we got the Crisis on Infinite Earths, which we all enjoyed. That was, Mark Bobby was with us, Bobby, we miss you, dude. It's been 6 months since his passing. We miss you, Bobby.
You got it, buddy.
And, the fact that we're getting another one of these because of COVID and everything, this is going to be a lot of fun. So basically the Flash is going to be the center point for this big CW crossover. And they've announced the big bad, and it's Despero.
Woo!
So Despero is a really kind of a cool villain.
Oh, sorry. I couldn't help it.
Yeah, he kind of looks like Yondu, but a demon. He's got a big old mohawk, and he's got this third eye. And what he can do is basically, he is a psychic. So basically he can control emotions and control people by using his powers. So that obviously could relay into a lot of, control of superheroes, distrust. And it's kind of neat to finally see this villain show up on the silver screen, which is crazy because we're getting so many niche characters now coming out like we wanted for Marvel to do. Right. It's kind of cool to see DC come full head on this. And it's essentially, Flash is going to have to call in heroes from several other shows to take Despero on. Despero is described as a powerful and intelligent alien possessing incredible powers and who comes to Earth on a deadly mission one whose outcome will decide the fate of humankind and put him on a collision course with Team Flash. This is bringing in Flash, obviously, with Ray Palmer, Brandon Routh, bringing Black Lightning, Cress Williams, Arrow's Mia Queen, which was Green Arrow's daughter, all grown up. Supergirl's Sentinel by Kyler Lee, and Batwoman. But we're also getting Tom Cavanaugh revisiting the role of Eobard Thawne, or the Reverse Flash, and Damian Dark, Neil McDonough. So this is going to be a lot of fun.
I like it, and I also like the fact that this is the first show. Kyler Lee, the actress, was one of those that if she was on a show, it'd get canceled. She's been on Supergirl for 5 years, the length that, because she's Supergirl's foster sister. So that's right. Good for her finding her. And she managed to be on Grey's Anatomy, and that show is continued. So
nothing can kill Grey's Anatomy, even cancer or helicopters. Apparently,
no.
Was it helicopters that killed everyone?
No, this is the deal, because April still watches it. All the people of the hospital were on a plane, and it crashed, and only a few of them, many of them died, some of them survived, which plane crash survivor is a very rare thing, as you know. But I'm interested in their choice of actor. It's a veteran character actor, Tony Curran, who always plays a heavy, scary, like Irish mobster or whatever. But he was Vincent Van Gogh on one of the, I think it was one of the
Doctor Who
specials. Yeah,
it was. Yeah. He looked familiar. Yeah.
So that is cool. But yeah, he's a heavy cat. So I think this could be great. And these are the ones like you. These are the Flareoverse ones that I tune into, that I get into.
Absolutely. Yeah. No need, unless there's a specific episode you're like, that sounds interesting or fun.
Right.
Yeah, I would say the CW is one of those things. Just show up when you want and watch the crossovers, because that'll catch you up to speed, and you can get out the filler if you want. So yeah, check it out. It'll be next year when we get to see that. Probably like that. It's usually like end of December where they do the crossover, like the cliffhanger, and then it goes into January. But it could be later.
Right.
We don't know.
Gotcha. Well, what's not going to be later, and we decided we're recording Code 47 a little bit earlier this afternoon. We're going to do a blowout extra special, like kind of midweek episode for Star Trek Day. This is going to be on September 8th, which, Todd, you very famously mocked me about this when I presented this fact to you many years ago. September 8, 1966 was the debut of Star Trek, the original series, on NBC with the episode of The Man Trap way back when. But
the Man Trap. It's like the Parent Trap, but we're trapping men.
Well, it was the famous salt vampire creature that could disguise itself as other people. So it was a man, but it was also a woman trap. It tried to kill Lieutenant Uhura in the episode too. So, but at any rate, Paramount Plus, starting at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time, 8:30 here. In the Eastern time zone, broadcasting a live virtual celebration. So this kind of reminds me of the 30th anniversary special that was on UPN of Star Trek. That was like it was like the Oscars. It was everybody in a big auditorium. It was like a big to do. So I don't know that it'll be exactly like that, but it's not only celebrating 55 years of Star Trek, but also what would have been the 100th birthday of series creator Gene Roddenberry. So we're looking for the two really biggest things, and I can tell you this without even looking at the notes that we talked about on Code, is we're looking for a premiere date for the Nickelodeon / Paramount Plus animated program Star Trek Prodigy, which will also be starring Kate Mulgrew as an incarnation of Catherine Janeway. But we're also looking for a date and a trailer for Strange New Worlds, which has been, for me, a series I've been super excited about since season 2 of Star Trek Discovery, where the character of Christopher Pike was reimagined, played by character Anson Mount, that it inspired probably my favorite cosplay that I do of myself. The gray hair helps. So we're looking for that, and then we're looking for confirmation of rollout dates for Star Trek Discovery, season 4, Star Trek Picard season 2. And then Lower Decks is currently ongoing, so we're going to be seeing actors from really all of those programs. There's a legacy panel, and I will admit that, and you'll see it in the name of our episode of Code 47 this week, because that kind of got inspired by this conversation. There are 5 people in this legacy panel. This actually gives a little bit different information about what we talked about. LeVar Burton and George Takei will take part. They mentioned Gates McFadden, which was not part of the original one, but they mentioned from DS9 Sirach Lofton and Anthony Montgomery from Star Trek Enterprise, two of the most lame duck, boring ass characters on those shows. Therefore, the Code 47 episode will be entitled, and if you subscribe, you've listened to it by now, 3 out of 5 ain't bad. You know what I mean? I know. Well, it's a bummer. You know, DS9 had such a rich cast of amazing actors, and not to put Sirach Lofton down, but his role in the show was really very minor. He was a child actor. He didn't have a lot
Jake.
to do. You know, yeah. And Anthony Montgomery, his character never really he didn't have a story arc of his own. Barely had any story arc of his own until the very last season, and even that
Who was he?
minor. He was the
again.
exactly. He was the helmsman.
Oh, I thought they would bring in like Quark.
Exactly.
He'd be a great character.
Or
the Cardassian.
Yeah.
What's his name? Garrick.
Andy Robinson, the non-visitor who was Major Kira. I mean, but again, all things have to do with scheduling and money and blah blah blah. So that's kind of a bummer. But yeah, please, if you haven't listened to it, tune in to 3 out of 5 ain't bad episode 47 of Code 47, which will be on its own solo and group feeds available to you when you hear this episode. Anyway, should be great. It should be very exciting. I'm actually home that week. I'm home the week of Labor Day instead of being in Wisconsin, so I will be watching this live and taking notes and preparing to do, as I said, a special episode of our show that is just going to be filled with things that we learned on Star Trek Day.
Is this new, Charlie, or is this a thing that's been something before?
It started last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I wasn't sure, because they said specifically because of Gene Roddenberry's 100th birthday. I'm like, is this going to be a thing now? It's like Roddenberry's birthday is now like the date where they are going to celebrate it.
Roddenberry's birthday, fun little Star Trek fact, Roddenberry and actor-director Jonathan Frakes, who is my personal hero, same birthday. Obviously not the same year. But yeah. So no, it became a thing last year. I think the pandemic definitely helped with that, but they had a string of different panels. And one of the earliest episodes of Code 47 that we did, we're just about to hang a year on. We're at about 11 months. We started in September, right after this. So one of the first things we did was kind of a breakdown of, they had 4 or 5 different panels, which was really pretty great. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Very cool. Yeah, I think these events are fun, and obviously there's a lot going on with Star Trek these days, so not a bad idea to do this and get fans involved and make it a big deal. So like it better than just like, oh, there's a new Star Trek commemorative plate, so let's get together and talk about that.
Which was hilarious, because that was actually a
Yes.
plot point on this week's Lower Decks.
Absolutely. I think that's been discussed before. Moving something that isn't a commemorative plate, and that is we are getting Robert Kirkman once again. He's kind of on fire. The fact that he's had very limited amount of like series, actually. He's had quite a few, but considering what he's been able to be from comic books to the screen and his success rate, I don't know if there's a better person that's been able to deliver like that than Kirkman with, just The Boys and The Walking Dead, at least, because those have been huge.
No duds.
But he's developing another comic book to the screen. It's called Oblivion Song with Jake Gyllenhaal. It's basically a sci-fi comic book property, and it revolves around a future that sees 300,000 residents of Philadelphia suddenly get displaced into apocalyptic alternate dimension known as Oblivion. However, a decade later, after the government has given up on their attempts to recover those people, a man named Nathan Cole takes it upon himself to try and rescue them, even making daily trips to do so. However, in the midst of it all, it's clear he's searching for something else. Cool premise, right? I mean, people just displaced in another dimension. He apparently has the ability to go and get them, but I mean, one man and 300,000 people, that's kind of crazy.
Oh my goodness. Yikes. Yeah, that's cool. But again, as you've said, the man has had no duds. He's kind of got the golden touch. I know Walking Dead is back on, and I think the first episode is free. And Todd, you had given me kind of a clue of how I can end up watching it. But I know we kind of stumbled our way through that last season without really tuning into it. But again, that's not Kirkman. His original premise really took off, and that show was really great when he was involved. And I love The Boy. I didn't. You said The Boys. I thought is he The Boys and Invincible? Because you said The Boys.
No, sorry. No, sorry. He is. He's the Invincible. Sorry,
Okay,
he is
yeah,
not
yeah.
The Boys.
Yeah.
That's Mark Millar. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the Invincible didn't really grab me, but I know a lot of people really loved it. So yeah, I'm impressed by his stuff. I've always kind of liked Jake Gyllenhaal, even when he was, Billy Crystal's son with the spiky hair and what was that? Curly's Gold. Was it?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, that was him. So, so this is cool. So, who is going to be? Is this who's showing this sci-fi or don't they?
Great question. I'm looking here. Who actually will be developing it? I'm trying to do my dance. You know what? I don't see a network attached to it.
TBD. So yes, follow the money trail, and it will you will find it. But yeah, that sounds kind of cool. And again, from somebody who has kind of demonstrated a gift for excellence, the first Montgomery Burns Award for Outstanding Achievement in the Field of Excellence.
Yes, that's the tune we use for our friendies every year. So
yes,
something to be excellence goes along with our podcast as well, folks.
Yeah,
just let you know, not tooting our own horn, but we toot.
Boop, boop. All right. Well, with that,
right.
that boop boop also means that the news is over, and we got to get ourselves an Uber. We got to get over to the extremely low rent in a bad neighborhood. Worst service humanly possible. That's right. I'm talking about the Geek Easy. So let's go.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting in the Geek Easy, the cover band's playing, the drinks are poured, and the service is poor as well.
Oh,
Zing!
Oh my goodness. Oh, by the way, quick sidebar. My pre-order for Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga, November 28th of 2019. It's a
vintage pre-order.
Well, what's nice is that you can go to, there's a filter by year, and so filter by year, 2021, 2020, and I said, I'm going to pick 2019 because that's as far back as it goes. Yep. And I guess I only made 2 purchases that year that they keep, so maybe they only keep track of them for 4 months.
Did you just put like $5 down, or did you actually buy the whole thing?
Nope. It's a pre-order that charges at the time of shipping. That's how pre-orders work from Target.
Okay, so there you go. They're not even getting your money. So it's like usually it's like pre-order and we're going to take your money and use all that interest and just make billions off you.
They do that, but yeah, with Target, I think their protocol is, and again, I use my Target Red Card, so I save 5%, which is just shy of paying the tax for it. So that's not a bad thing. But I believe.
Well, you know what?
What?
You have your pre-order, and if it was more expensive, you've cheated the system by keeping your pre-order.
I have cheated the system. All right, but I'll kick it off. And Todd, you can join in because you were also privy to at least one of these 2 things I'm going to talk about. But yeah, I've been in Wisconsin during the week. Interesting times. And I come home on Fridays, and April and I decided, we're like, look, it's going to be 1,000 degrees. We're having a very hot summer here in the Midwest. So it was 90 degrees. It was 90 degrees today. I think we're back down to 82 right now because the sun is starting to go down. But so we said, you know what? Let's pull a doubleheader at the movie. So we'll go to one movie at 11. We'll go to another movie at like 2:30. We'll have lunch in between. We'll have some drinks in between, and then in the evening, my dad was in town. I went to dinner with my dad. She went off and had some plans on her own with some friends. So anyway, we went to go see Free Guy, which was the movie out with Ryan Reynolds right now. It feels like this movie has been rumored. Like we saw a trailer for it forever ago, and Corona messed it up. I mean, it was obviously filmed so far back that Alex Trebek of
was still alive.
Jeopardy had a cameo, but
yep,
super fun movie. I absolutely loved it. It had to do with, and again, I know Rich, who is my cohort over on Code 47, really did not care for this film, which is unfortunate because he likened it to the Truman Show and thought that it was very unimaginative. I don't see the connective tissue between the Truman Show. I don't see it as being connected at all, so I will respectfully disagree with Rich because I think he is a very knowledgeable person when it comes to film. But I thought that this was a rip-roaring good time. Not even being a video game guy, but just understanding, kind of the basics of maybe how that business is done. Like every business is kind of shifty. It made me think more about Tron than it did anything else. Don't you agree, Todd?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely someone realizing they are different than they are.
Right.
People watching them from afar. I mean, you could go to EdTV if you want. I always say everything is based on something,
right?
Because there's very few original ideas, but I think their execution on this was great.
Yeah,
and you know what?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So in the real world, it had to do with two nascent developers who, 5 or 6 years before the movie came out, came up with this algorithm and blah 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 blah, and they were platonic friends and this thing and that thing, but all the while bubbling under the surface, they sold out to a big douchebag video game developer who was Taika Waititi. Awesome role. And the it was a man and a woman. The man stayed on. And kind of in a limited role of just I turned to April. It was literally just the two of us. I think it was the two of us in the theater, in one of the bigger theaters there. So we kind of spoke freely. She's like, he basically has my job right now. He's in QA and he doesn't have to really do much. So, but all the while, the woman was kind of spoofing her way through the game, trying to find the evidence that they had been ripped off, which was the plot line of Tron. So it was more like Tron than anything else to me, because that's what Jeff Bridges was after in that film. Absolutely loved it. You had some fun stuff at the end that it was interesting because this was a Fox film that became a Disney film. That absolutely closer to the end, you had a Marvel reference and you had a Star Wars reference, but you had
correct.
They tossed Chris Evans in there for the Captain America reference, which I was just like, wee! I was very excited by that. That made me happy.
Yeah, it actually had some video game references too, which you probably didn't recognize, but that's perfectly fine. They had the portal gun. They also had the gravity gun and they had a bunch of other references too. And a lot of people talked about the video game streamers who were like commentating on all this. Right. Real video game streamers. So I mean, they had some things. Right. And obviously, when you do that, you have to be very careful because of the time. Did that person end up doing something horrible and got banned on the internet? But you know what? My 15-year-old Logan, who is not a movie viewer by all,
right? You've said
really loved the premise, the plot, he says, Dad, this movie felt good. It didn't make you feel bad at times, and it wasn't like the plot was like earth shattering, but it still felt like it was it really handled itself tongue in cheek. Very much Ryan Reynolds really nailed the tone of this, and really just it was a good feeling movie. So I'm like, I don't feel like where people are like so negative about this movie. If you are negative about this movie, you just have to have a mat on for like, I don't like things because they aren't for me. I don't know. I just don't.
And again, let's give a little latitude because like I said, Rich is my co-collaborator, and I respect his opinion. But I do
too. Rich is a great guy.
I just don't happen to agree. I didn't find anything wrong with this movie. Maybe it was being taken, like I don't see how you could take this any more seriously because it was very off the cuff.
Not meant to be.
And I drilled down on Rich a little bit, and I got out of him that he really does not like Ryan Reynolds, and it's like me and Tom. It's like me and Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise could be reading out of the phone book, or he could be doing something incredibly inoffensive, and I would hate it because I don't like his stupid face. That's me and Tom Cruise, or Kanye
absolutely
West. Anything Kanye West could ever do, I can't stand him. So yeah. That's if
you have to be very clear. If you don't like a movie because of an actor being in it, I totally get it. That's not for you. But don't hold it against the movie because ultimately it's more than just him, right. And he didn't make the movie good or bad because he was just himself.
Did you?
But
okay,
it is Ryan Reynolds.
One last thought, and tell me if you caught this super secret voice cameo at the beginning when our female character, what was her name, Molotov Girl or Millie, drops in and she's talking to a lowlife who's giving her information. Did you pick out the voice?
No.
It was and again I would have to verify this about IMDb, but April and I locked eyes and we said that's Hugh Jackman.
Ooh, very nice.
Because there's
which would make sense.
Yeah, because there's that friendly rivalry between the two actors, so that was very fun. So anyway, moving on. So then we we wrap that movie up. We grabbed a drink over at the watering hole next door. We came
Yeah.
back and we started watching Candyman. Now, this is the third film in the...
Charlie.
Yes.
You can, just a warning. You can only say the name how many more times?
I'm not looking in any kind of reflective surface. Okay, so I'm going
but
to stare.
refer to the name as something else if you say it multiple times, because we don't want to haunt this podcast.
Right. Okay. So I'm gonna let's figure out a code word. Help me. Give me a code word.
Wonka.
So this is the third film in the Wonka series. The first Wonka film came out in 1992 and had varying degrees of nudity, starring. I always like to call her former porn star Virginia Madsen, though I don't know if she was.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
it's not Tracy Lords.
Yeah. Oh, that is an easy mistake to make. But yeah, it has to do.
Yes.
And this film tied a lot more closely back to the '92 film, the film that came out now. There was a
more of a sequel.
There was
or a like spiritual sequel.
They did refer to it as a spiritual sequel. You're correct.
Okay.
There was a second film that came out in 1995, which was set in.
Direct to video, or is it like a real theatrical release?
You know what? I would have to double check, but it starred. No significantly named actors. But yeah, it was called Wonka, Farewell to the Flesh, and it was a storyline based around the Wonka main character played by Worf's brother, or Tony Todd, great actor who April met at our inaugural show with the Grand Petoskey back in 2019. She met him and I didn't because I was away from the booth, and he sat in the captain's chair and had a picture taken. He was very friendly with her, and he absolutely smelled like marijuana. That was her.
Did he say, "Go see WonkaMan, A Tale of the Flesh"?
He didn't, because I doubt in his state he could have remembered. But at any rate, yeah, the 92 film, the 95 film. So this film, which was actually set in 2019, interestingly enough, so maybe that is when it was filmed. Comes back around to essentially the original setting of the original film, which is the Cabrini Green housing projects, which I'm not sure if that's real. I'd probably have to look into it. The geography that they described it in perfectly makes sense. But really what it has to do with is that back in, Todd, you've seen the film, back in post-Civil War times, there was a black freed slaves. It was after slavery. There was a black photographer who went around the country taking a picture of wealthy whites. One of the people he was photographing was a young girl. They fell in love. Dad wasn't crazy about it. They captured him. They tortured him by sawing his arm off, smearing him with bee honey, which somehow caused a swarm of bees, and then they set him on fire, and he then became the eternal Candyman that haunted in
WonkaMan.
WonkaMan. Oh God, there was two, wasn't it?
Charlie, we're a slippery slope.
WonkaMan, who, if you say WonkaMan's name 5 times whilst staring in a reflective surface, WonkaMan will appear and kill you. So which could be
like your beer glass. So just be careful.
Right. Well, here I just moved that behind my screen, and even maybe my water bottle. Maybe the back of my phone. Okay, we're in
the danger zone, Charlie. We're in the danger zone.
It's all behind my laptop screen now. So, this film circles back to, if you remember from the original film, you had 90s film actress Vanessa Williams, who was on Melrose Place and stuff, had a bit part in the 92 film. She was the single mother, the black mother who lived in the housing projects. Well, as it turns out, the baby, who was the focus of that 92 film, kidnapped, whatever it is. Now the baby's grown up. And he happens to get involved in the Legend of WonkaMan. I'm looking. Okay,
close.
Yes, he gets involved in the Legend of WonkaMan. So, this was a Blumhouse production. It was produced by Jordan Peele. Chef's Kiss, great horror film.
Oh, good.
Highest recommended. Todd, you were thinking about going to see it this week, I think you had said.
I will probably see it by myself because my family has no interest. No. It'll probably be a Tuesday.
$5
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
$5 Tuesday.
Yeah.
See it there. My family would be perfectly fine with letting me go. And actually, my theater's doing like a thing where $20, 5 movies. You see it on Sunday as well.
Okay.
All these big movies too. So there might be things. So I think, that's going to be where I'm seeing it, because I've heard mixed reviews, but I'm glad you like it, because that makes me feel like I will like to see this.
Well, you have to be someone who enjoys horror films, because again, all horror films are filled with horror film cliches, the jump scare, the this, that thing. But it's funny. We've had we've been back in the theater. We have the The VIP program with Celebration Cinema, our local theaters, is 3 films a week, including IMAX or whatever, for $20 a person. It's $40 a month, which if you go see, 3 or 4, if you go see 4 films within 30 days, you've made your money.
Sure.
It was funny. We canceled it for August, but then we come to realize of the 4 weeks in September, I'll be working from home. So we're just going to renew it and keep it going, because we love going to movies, even if they're terrible movies. It's our chance to be out, because we go out, we go have drinks at Hopcat, we get a Starbucks, we get a what? It's our chance to be out, especially in this world where both of us work from home. Neither one of us goes off to an office, so it's our chance to get out and socialize. So that's fun. But yeah, Todd, I'm not going to say another word. But yes, this is it's very much a direct-ish sequel to the 92 film. The 95 film is largely irrelevant.
Maybe the 95 film has to be on our Shocktober list.
I would give that. I found it on, I found both of them. The original film was on Peacock, so I watched it with like 4 commercial breaks.
Sure.
And the 95 film is on Amazon Prime, so you can watch them both.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Well, I will probably just refresh myself on the original, because
I
saw that in high school.
Yeah.
Man, I saw that in high school. Or college, maybe. I can't remember what it was.
The references are so heavy that I absolutely recommend watch that. So you might want to do that this evening or tomorrow.
We will see.
Okay.
But,
all right.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's
because I'd heard mixed reviews. So interesting that's good to know. And this is a modern horror film. I love that they're really bring some intelligence to the classic franchise at this point. So very cool. For me, Charlie, you talked about the CW, and I have heard of all the series on the CW that the DC Legends of Tomorrow has turned into just a really fun show that really doesn't rely on the other shows for it just doing wacky things. They bring in people, they deal with different periods of time, and they just have a good time. They brought in Constantine. They keep bringing people in. So it's more of it's a mishmash, but you don't have to feel like you have to watch every episode to feel like you're up to speed, but they do some fun things. So I checked into one episode because I'd heard this one's going to be fun. So this episode is called Board Games. Board like board or board.
Uh-huh.
And this is all about the team on the ship for the Legends. They have to get back to Earth for some reason. It's like Voyager, where they're so far out it's going to take them like 3 weeks to get there. So they decide, and any type of energy they use will delay that transit. So they decide to do basically some off-screen entertainment, which is a board game. So they decide to do this game. It's like a murder mystery, like a Clue or something like that. And they bring everybody in. But Constantine apparently has been going through some weird things. I don't really know what it's up to speed, but he lost his powers, got brought back, and he apparently has been re-energized through nefarious means that nobody else knows about. But he decides to up the stakes, cast a spell, and essentially puts them in the game. It's almost like a Clue type game where there's a murderer, but you have to figure out who it is. Everybody has a role, and it's very fun. It's almost like like I said, it's almost like the Clue movie where we have to figure out who the killer is, and they go around and explore. But you've also got a lot of dynamics happening on the ship. So this was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. They embraced the game boardiness, the clueness of this, and they just had a lot of fun. There's still a lot of dynamics that I don't truly understand because I haven't watched the show that religiously, and it was just very fun if you just want a one-off episode to see kind of the dynamics of the show. So check it out. It's on the CW app. I think you could enjoy it if you've never watched the show before. It also helps to know a little bit about the characters. So I'm not up to speed. There was some weird subplots in this show as well that I truly didn't understand, and I'm sure I could catch up pretty quickly. I'm not one of those people I have to watch every episode to get up to speed. I may check in on some episodes as well, but it's there. But I did enjoy this episode. So Legends of Tomorrow, DC characters, just a mishmash of characters some you don't. So it's there if you want to watch it.
The mishmash,
Absolutely. Then lastly, this is a new show on Netflix. It's actually a movie. It's animated. It's called The Witcher, Nightmare of the Wolf. So The Witcher is one of my favorite franchises, or it's becoming one of my favorite franchises. It's a Polish fantasy novel series, which then begat a video game series where this developer, CD Projekt Red, who's had some issues, have created basically this fantastic video game series on The Witcher. They take all of their basically all of their lore from the books and basically make their own type of game. Well, they've now made the Netflix show with Henry Cavill, which we've all seen on Netflix, which is based on the books, not the games. But the games do a lot of the storylines as well, which is kind of cool. But now they're trying to really increase the just different venues of how you can tell stories with this franchise. So now they're doing animated. So they decided to do a story, kind of a side story about a character that we know of in The Witcher, which is called, his name's Vesemir. He's essentially the mentor of the main character, Henry Cavill, Geralt of Rivia. So, but we don't know much about Vesemir. And so this is the opportunity for the series to not only tell us more about Vesemir, but also kind of give us how did the Witchers become who the Witchers are? They're a weird group. And then we find out essentially the mages of the world, the magic users, essentially take young boys who have been either volunteer or basically given away as just orphans and things like that, who basically have to train and then get transformed into these supernatural type of bounty hunters. They're experimented upon, given these weird doses of magic and poisons and alchemy to basically transform themselves into these superheroes. And we basically have the main character Vesemir, and you see how he becomes who he is, but also the story about what he's dealing with currently, and the sad fact that it's a love story as well, because a girl he grew up with, essentially Witchers don't age, or they age very slowly. So when he ends up meeting up with her again, she's 70 and he's essentially 25. So it's one of those, but he still is in love with the girl. So it's a really cool story that I thought was really done well in an animated fashion. Tells us more about the Witcher lore. It's a prequel only in the fact that you got a side character that got more exposition against him. And it wasn't really taking away from Geralt's story or what's more to come. It's just telling you more about the franchise, which is what is appropriate for comic books and all these different venues. So I really liked it. It's like 90 minutes long, very, very tight. Very adult though, nudity, a lot of gore, a lot of F-bombs, which I thought was kind of cool, but it's on Netflix, so it's free to watch. And if you like The Witcher, or you like just fantasy done well and very good writing, which I was surprised by. And I thought I couldn't tell who the main actor was. I thought it was James Marsden, who plays Spike in Buffy. I thought he was the main actor. So the voice acting was very good. So if you like good animation, fantasy stories, I would say check out The Witcher, Nightmare of the Wolf. And we're going to get more of Witcher, the live action one in December. And then we're also going to get another storyline, the animated series from Netflix as well, if you like The Witcher or if you just like fantasy. So check it out.
Awesome. Good deal. All right. Well, cool. Well, I think that wraps us up, yeah?
It does. It does. So, Charlie, we are now ready to take a trip, transcontinental, near the Savage Land, to go to a place where the mutants roam, and they've all been vaccinated, and that's the Thunderdome.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome!
Thank you, Tina. We're sitting in the Thunderdome, where the mutants have been gathered for a topic or a game to be entertained. And this week, we are doing the fall media preview. This is movies and TV. We're going to start with TV this week, though. So from there, it's going to be a mishmash because, the networks just really don't provide what we love. So it's going to be a lot of streaming. There might be one network in the way. So, Charlie, we're going to kick this off. We'll get moving forward. We'll go through these pretty quick. We'll start with September 13th. And actually, I'll start with September 2nd. We're getting What They Do in the Dark. What They Do in the Shadows. Yeah, on FX. This is our favorite vampires coming back on FX. September 2nd. I don't know what they're going to be doing. I know Guillermo killed a lot of vampires, so I don't know if he's going to get uncovered. But I love that show, and I cannot wait for vampires hijinks.
Absolutely. Yeah, September 13th is Why the Last Man. We saw this trailer a couple weeks ago. Todd, you've been talking to me about the show forever and a day, and this is on. I love it how FX is simply now called FX on Hulu. They know where the money pot is. They're
Oh
not
yeah.
stupid.
Oh yeah.
That's an easy one. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I am not 100% on sold on this next one, but obviously for professional reasons, I'll be watching the shit out of it. And that would be Star Wars Visions on September 22. I'm not the biggest anime fan, but you know what? I am prepared to be delighted and swept in with these new vignettes. You know what I mean? So vignettes are cool. I mean, there's it's a way to further the storytelling. So I'm definitely on board.
Yeah, I think Star Wars has needed something new visually for a long, long time. We haven't got a lot out of it versus the CG shows of Rebels and Clone Wars. So this is something new. It's not canon, so they can tell a lot of crazy stories. It's kind of like the Animatrix. I think there was a Batman version as well where they just told side stories. And this is each episode is standalone and done by a different animation studio and also a different writer as well. So this could be kind of cool. And there might be something they could steal from and do something different with it on Disney Plus. So I am actually more excited about it.
Cool. Sliding on down the line, end of September, we have La Brea from NBC. I love disaster stuff. I don't know that it would really play out. It's network, and I think we all kind of get the buzz that network stuff is it's kind of collapsing like the La Brea tar pits. But it looks like that's the plot line of the show. So you know what? Who knows? It could be something neat. But Todd, this next one on October 7th, this definitely looks like it's up your alleyway.
Charlie, you skipped ahead. I was going to say really quick. September 22nd, The Wonder Years. This is basically on ABC. This is basically it's the same era of time from a black family perspective.
Oh.
This could be really cool. I just was surprised they picked the same era.
Yeah,
me I wish they kind of done maybe the 70s or a different era, but why not? It could be good, but it's so long ago now in the 60s. It feels like ancient times, quite honestly.
Over 50 years ago. So no, I agree with you. So okay, all right.
But I was going to say the next one though you missed too, which is September 24th on Apple TV Plus is Foundation, which is Foundation is one of the main sci-fi tenets of all time. Isaac Asimov, it's one of his primary, series that ever did, and this could be really interesting. So, look for Foundation on Apple TV Plus on September 24th. If you have the subscription, this could be huge if it's done well.
If it's done well. All right. Well, for the fourth time, moving into October, this first show looks like your jam. So wrap to me.
Yeah, so October 7th, Ghost. This is actually a British show that came out previously. It's on HBO Max now if you want to watch it. Yeah, and it was British. It was the exact same premise. So I think the premise is excellent, though. It's about a couple that moves into a house they inherited, and it's about, basically, it's haunted with ghosts and from different eras of time. We've got, like, the modern age. We've got way back to, like, caveman days, Vikings, and things like that. But basically... it's a house that has lots of different hauntings until that is basically no one notices until the main I guess you'd say the protagonist, the woman who is the one that inherits this house, gets a knock on the head and can finally see the spirits.
Ooh.
And that's where hijinks ensue. It's very funny. It's a
that
sitcom.
does sound like fun. And
it's very good.
Too. So it's the non-scary version of the Murder House from American Horror Stories.
Pretty much. It's lots of jokes, lots of funniness ensues. And actually, Charlie, I think the husband in this is the Indian guy from Free Guy, who is the husband.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Who was the other programmer guy?
Absolutely, yeah. And okay. the lead actress is the girl from iZombie, so they know how to do good. Yeah. It's on CBS too, which is surprising.
Yeah, exactly. So one thing, what's up next, where I don't think you're going to see fun or jokes of any kind, would be Chucky. Now has a TV show over on Sci-Fi/USA. Is that a thing now?
I think it's debuting on Sci-Fi and then it goes to USA since it's the same family.
Very interesting. So Jennifer Tilly's on board. Brad Dourif, who's a familiar, who's the voice of Chucky, but he's a very familiar actor, will be spinning this up, and this is a scripted 10 episodes. So feels very missable to me, but who's to say? Now, this next one, this is not a new show, is it? I thought this was all new stuff. Is this relaunched? A revival?
I think it's just it's a revival. The 4400 was a show back in the day that a lot of people loved in the mid 2000s. It's coming back though on the CW, and it's is that Mackay? Oh no, Michael T. No, who is this? Is this the original team right here? And then we're got a new crew. I'm just seeing a picture here, and it doesn't look like the major. I think the rebooted stars because it looks like
there's some familiar faces.
Mahershala Ali is not in this because he's a star now.
That's his knockoff. So I don't know. This one's definitely going to pass right through my colon, as it were. But November 7, this is definitely one that will get us to sign back up to Showtime. Is the Revival of Dexter? This is a show that April loves. That we watched together, and I know when we had Showtime just recently, they're highlighting certain episodes and pushing it out there. It almost makes you think that, oh, it's a new Dexter show. But when you read a little closer, they're really ramping things up. So this is about Michael C. Hall returns as the titular serial killer who hunts other serial killers, and then he's faked his death many years ago, and now shows up in a town in upstate New York, but he is being hunted, and so he has to hunt back. I'm sure is the premise.
The hunting?
The hunting, exactly.
Okay, I've never watched Dexter at all. It seems like a premise that I would really dig. I probably just need a Idiot's Guide to Dexter so I can watch it. I'm not sure even where it's available. Maybe is it on Paramount Plus because it's a Showtime show?
I don't know. I think you're only going to be able to find it there on Showtime. So.
Oh God, Showtime? Ugh. It's like Epix or one of those other network stars. I'm like, who actually has those networks? I don't know.
Right.
Okay. Well, next we've got Cowboy Bebop. This is one of my favorite animated series of all time. John Cho's in the lead. A lot of people are suspect of a live-action animated. I can't wait this. It's a space bounty hunter with jazz is the best way I could describe it. I love it. I hope this is good, but we don't have a date on Netflix yet, but this is going to be cool. And I cannot wait to see it. Is that it, though? We're into November, so maybe there's more shows, but that's it right now, folks. So if you have any other shows that we missed, let us know. But Charlie, it's time to get into the movies because we got TV, and we're going to have more TV. I mean, maybe even we get, Cobra Kai maybe coming? Who knows?
I hope so. Yes, exactly. More things developing. So, all right, moving over to movies again and again. It's, it's kind of a mixed bag. You never really know how things are going to keep going simply because of, changes and variations and, Delta or whatever. But let's skim through this and let's try to hit on some things that are just kind of genre related because this list seems
absolutely. Well, I'll kick it off. Yep, I'll kick it off. We've got the next MCU movie, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Quite honestly, all signs are pointing to this movie is going to be good. Mm-hmm. It's, we had the initial reactions. Now we've got the Rotten Tomatoes of 93%, 191 reviews. That's a pretty good guide that this movie is going to be good. And apparently the trailers have not shown most of this movie, which is a good thing. And this is apparently Jackie Chan's old crew of martial artist team has been behind this, also other ones. So this is going to be the most interesting choreography with fight scenes I think we've ever seen in a Marvel movie. So I'm down for this, and I definitely will be talking about this actually on our Thunderdome next week.
Absolutely. And then we've got we hopped all the way forward to October 22. And we've got 3 films in a row. We've got The Harder They Fall, which is with Idris Elba. Looks like this is a Western of sorts, which is cool. It makes reference to a character that I'm not familiar with. I don't know. It says it looked to reintegrate the black cowboy back into Western lore. Okay, so maybe it's just really a project of that sort. So that sounds kind of neat.
I saw. Have you seen a trailer for this, Charlie? It looks really cool.
No, but I will definitely take a stab. But
yeah, it kind of makes me feel like a Tombstone type of era, it's not exactly going to be like hardcore, like, oh, this isn't going to be entertaining. This is going to be entertaining, also cool Western. So we haven't had a lot of those lately, so this could be very cool.
Exactly. So we have the Will They, Won't They? We have a new release date for No Time to Die. The final.
We can't afford to delay it any longer.
The fifth and final film in the Daniel Craig portrayal of 007. So you know what? Lay your odds now if that's really going to go down. But we have Rami Malek as the villain. I like Rami Malek. That could be a thing.
I need to watch Spectre. I still need to watch that movie. I need to watch it. I've heard it's not very good, but I do like the Bond films. I will definitely see this.
Remember this next film. We've been seeing trailers for this for at least the last couple months, and actually, the female star didn't realize until I saw her in Free Guy. It's the same woman.
It is. Yeah. Okay, Jodie Comer.
Comer. And her only notable genre role is she played Rey's mother in the flashback scenes of Rise of Skywalker.
Oh.
Yeah, had no idea.
Okay,
but this is what I'd love to say based on the two genres of based on actual events or based on a true story, but just based on. But this was it's called The Last Duel, based around the last actual trial by combat. The film was based on a real sequence of events, but a character's wife, who's the character is Matt Damon, accuses his best friend Adam Driver of raping her. So they have a trial by combat. So definitely a very heavy piece.
Yeah, come for Matt Damon in a mullet, because that's essential. But also Ben Affleck's in this too, so it's like this is interesting. I looked at Logan, I'm like, I might actually go see this because it seems like it's got tension, period pieces that don't always deliver, but this could be a lot of fun and great actors. And yeah, we just saw Jodie in Free Guy, and I liked her a lot too. So
absolutely
might go movie I see on a Tuesday or a Sunday.
Could be.
Who knows?
And one movie that it is coming out on HBO Max the same days in theaters, but you'd be a fool if it's safe to do so to not see it in theaters, is the reimagining of Dune. Now, April and I talked about this walking past the poster at the theater yesterday. She's like, I know we own this movie because it was one of those I found it at the library. I did the disc to digital, so it's in our digital library. She's like, I've never seen it. I said, hon, I haven't seen it since the 80s. I don't know that I ever watched it as an adult. But yeah, Frank Herbert's 1965 novel, which was made into a film, and I'm going to say 84, 85. Young Patrick, you had a younger Patrick Stewart. You had Sting. You had Kyle MacLachlan. I couldn't tell you a shit ton about it. This is Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya. And a cast of who's who from MCU and Star Wars actors, or both, because they flop over. I think this looks fantastic. We talked about it previously when the trailer came out. So yeah, this is
can't wait.
This is in the theater for me. So French.
Charlie, drink coffee before you see it, because this is going to be a long one. I guarantee it.
No, drinking coffee is probably what you wouldn't want to do, because then you have to have a pee. Saw another trailer for this one. I've been seeing trailers for it for months. Last Night in Soho, end of October. This would be superb Anna Taylor-Joy, mirrored with another actress, Thomasin McKenzie, who we saw in something recently. It's a woman in modern day who's flashing back to someone from the 1960s, transporting back and forth into. It's kind of a horror movie quantum leap situation happening. So kind of nuts. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think we talked about that trailer before. It looks really interesting. Kind of like one of those movies you don't know what to expect. Kind of like Reminiscence we just saw. So I think this is a great palate cleanser. Wait, did we miss like Halloween Kills?
No,
it's not even in this.
It's not even this. Well, Halloween Kills comes out around Halloween. There you go.
October 14th. Yeah. Check that out.
There you go.
Yeah, I cannot wait for that as our like spooky movie.
You got it.
Which we may see. You know what's missing this list, Charlie?
What's that?
Venom 2. Venom 2.
I think the date is floating. I think it's one of those that they don't really know.
I think it is as well, but originally it was like mid-October as well.
Yeah, so that's not a good time. All right, let's wrap this up succinctly by talking about November. We have The Eternals, which we've talked about ad nauseum. Recently got a trailer which has gotten even Todd a little bit more excited, if I'm not mistaken.
Sure.
So, that's November 5. And then we jump forward to a movie that I feel like was never going to come out, and that would be Ghostbusters Afterlife. This one was, like so many, was whacked by the pandemic. Was supposed to be a summer movie last year, and then I feel like we never heard anything about it until super recently. I didn't even know this was the release date, so even this kind of surprises me.
Yeah, Charlie, you know who we're going to call? Ghostbusters. And my son keeps asking, is Dan Aykroyd going to show his Crystal Skullhead vodka? And I'm like, I'm sure there'll be a product placement for it, because that's what Dan Aykroyd does.
I love it. Yes, always got to make that crystal skull dollars. And then we have the Red Notice on the November 12th. Dwayne Johnson, Gal Gadot, Ryan Reynolds in a heist film. On Netflix. Well, all right.
Sure, we'll be there because it's free.
We will be there because it is in my flippin' living room. Select theaters November 17, Netflix December 1st is The Power of the Dog. And I'm seeing Bender Snatch Cumberbund and Kristen Dunst in a Western set in 1920s Montana. Interesting. Then we jump forward to some movie about tennis balls. We're going to skip that. Tic Tac Boom. Selected theaters November 12th, Netflix on the 19th. We have autobiographical about a neurotic, struggling theater composer. Lin-Manuel Miranda. Yippee. Top Gun Maverick.
It's a musical with Andrew Garfield. There you go.
Top Gun Maverick on November 19th, another victim of the pandemic. And I've been seeing the trailer, but I feel like the date doesn't really resonate. So again, like you said, big one in the theater. But again, with Disney Plus, this will be out on 45 days later. You'll be able to watch it at home, which is not a bad thing.
Which one?
Top Gun.
It's not on Disney Plus. Top Gun is Paramount Plus.
That's what I
there you go.
I was sure that's what I said. But anyway, rounding out Encantado on November 24. I saw a trailer for this again yesterday. Lin-Manuel Miranda.
It's very cute.
Yeah, cranking out an
Disney Plus.
Film. Yeah. Voiced by Stephanie Beatriz from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which I love. And then I think that's it.
I mean, we're going to have, I think there's another December movie, which would be Spiderman, Charlie.
Leo Spiderman, we've already talked about it. So
yes.
It can't come back at us a second time. So yeah, definitely entertainment. And again, a lot of that stuff we talked about is on Netflix. Obviously, the TV stuff is available on your TV. Some in theaters, but again, April and I enjoy going out, so that works for us. But it is nice for those who are skeptical about going out, or potentially from a medical standpoint, that's not really safe for you to go out. So it's good to know that you do have options to do so.
Yeah, and apparently the sun is now coming into the room, so I look like I can be absorbed by the light.
Oh my goodness.
I'm not a vampire, so I won't die, so that's it. And it's a good time to probably wrap up the podcast. So, folks, I hope you feel informed about what is coming to you on the TV and the big screen. Hopefully you can enjoy movies where they are best. And at that point, Charlie, it is time to wrap up the podcast. But folks, before you do so, remember to always check out our social media and where we are at. Subscribing and rating us really means a lot. So with that, Charlie, take us out.
Indeed, I shall. Friends, thank you again as always for joining us. I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring, and to keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain.
In a truck.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow @SecretFriendsU on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.